Hello and welcome back to In the Weeds, the world's best restaurant gossip show. This is our first episode back and new season. Exciting, am I right, guys?
Yay!
I know, it's going to be great. We have so many cool stories to share with you and we are very excited.
Every story we tell is completely true yet completely anonymous. You won't know the places we're talking about, but if you do, keep quiet. And welcome to today's episode of...
In today's episode, we will be having our first guest of the show, and this is someone who is one of my best friends, someone who's awesome, Will Watson.
Welcome! Yay, Will!
Hey guys, it's great to be here. I don't know if I would say best friends, but I think we're acquaintances or something like that.
I mean, we've definitely talked a couple times. I think that definitely makes it higher up the.
I've never seen you before. Can you share with the audience what you do?
Hey guys, I'm actually a server at a 5-star restaurant in Manhattan right now. And nope, it's a bar and grill.
You don't have to lie.
It's a bar and grill.
All true here.
But it is my first serving job, and I've been there for a month, and I've already had some ridiculous experiences.
Cool. So what? I know you've worked as a server before that though. What did you do?
My last job was at.
Oh,
No, that's all right. We'll bleep it out. We'll do like a little
Okay.
bleep. It'll
Right.
be good.
Yeah.
My last job was at a fast food restaurant near my apartment on campus, and I worked there for about 2 years when I was living down here.
Nice.
2 years.
That is a long time. What do you think is the most important thing to know going into working in a restaurant industry? The number one lesson you've learned.
The easiest thing I've learned is if you just make customers have a good time, like if you just joke with them and they laugh, that's the easiest way. They forgive a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Things that don't go well, like if I forget something, I apologize, but if
Blame it on the kitchen,
Right. I've had to do that a couple times when I know for sure it's my fault, but they're a lot more forgiving. And then even if they're super upset at the kitchen, they're like, this guy's great though. So then
You just make them upset at the people behind the scenes.
I can't do anything.
Yeah, these
guys,
these
it's
stupid
ridiculous.
guys
It's my manager.
back there, they didn't put in your ticket or whatever.
It's just restaurant policy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to
When
mess
you-
up your
A
food.
good
You
one.
just gotta lie.
A good one I got was when they are complaining about the wait for the food. I'm like, I'm really sorry about that, guys. We had a call off in the kitchen, so we're short staffed tonight. And they're always like, okay.
I feel so bad for you. Like we'll wait forever.
Especially
It's
now.
like no day is the same though. Like some nights when you don't expect to be busy at all, it's like ridiculously busy. So then there's not,
especially every person in the restaurant industry knows that if you are standing there and you're saying, "Man, it is so slow tonight," then you'll have a rush.
Yes.
You gotta jinx it.
So I know you just started working. How has the beginning of this job? Because I know the beginning of any especially food job, it's you got to figure out, okay, how does this world work? How does this whole new thing work? So how has that been for you? Just starting serving.
Well, we've talked about this a little
Yes.
bit before. It's very different from any job I've worked, and I went into the world not knowing anything. In fact, when you guys told me your name of the podcast was In the Weeds, I was like, what? I was like, what? I don't even know what that means. But I found out that means you're in the weeds at serving, or at least that's how they say
Do they
it.
use that in your new job at the 5-star restaurant?
5-star Manhattan
Yeah,
restaurant.
Do? Of course
They were
do.
like, hey, well, I
5
can
stars.
tell you're in the weeds tonight. And I was like, what's your problem? Why are you making fun of me right now?
Oh, you listen to that podcast too?
Yes.
You guys know that? Aiden and Jack?
Yeah.
What the hell?
The world's best
connected.
podcast. No, that's sick. Has it been hard or has been
It's definitely been a learning curve, I
Yeah.
would say. Just because it's, like I said, it's different from any job I've worked, and the importance of multitasking is pretty ridiculous when you have a bunch of tables.
Absolutely.
So learning how to multitask and doing the same or doing different tasks at the same time took a bit to learn how to execute that properly. So that was very different because it's just a completely different work environment.
Yeah, completely. And then, some people, they know how to multitask. Like they don't even write down their orders. They can get it all out of their head. I always had to write down my orders, but it's just, it's keeping it good quality. Do you think there's ever been a shift in your new serving job, or maybe even in your fast food job before, where everything has just gone completely wrong?
Oh, 100%.
All right.
It was my first night serving by myself after training,
Oh, God.
and I had 3 tables, which isn't really bad,
No.
but for my first night, it was a lot.
Yeah, that's
and
difficult.
we had like a $3,000 hour. It was like ridiculous. We had so many people, and just those 3 tables, I was forgetting stuff. I was getting lost. I was nervous when I was talking to tables at the time, so I wasn't able to like, make jokes or try and get them to have a good time. I just sat there like shaky hands, like,
Yep.
oh, appetizer, whatever.
Trying to go off the script, and then they say something different, and you're like,
I haven't prepared for
It's
this.
something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. You just have
Right.
to turn on the customer service voice and just like keep
Yeah.
going.
Or like they'd ask me questions about the menu, and I'd be like, ah.
Like, oh yeah, this is wonderful.
I
I've
was-
had this
yeah.
all the time.
It's
like,
on there. It's
Check right here. I can't.
on
yeah.
the menu.
Yeah, no, the worst part, especially like when you're like new to a job, like it's like when they're like, it's like, oh, like what's your favorite thing? And you're like, it's like the classic,
Right.
the most expensive thing.
I would just like take the favorite things off of like my bosses, like whenever they would talk about something a lot, like they would be like, oh yeah, this dish has a lot of this in it and this and this. I'd be like, okay, I know enough about that dish, so I just fake it, and I'd be like, oh, I love this dish because it has this and this and this, and I've never tried it before. But
Sometimes
that's just what you gotta do. You gotta be a completely different person.
sometimes
love
I would
that.
just pick like random, like I'd be like, this is the item that I really love today. So they'd be like, which one's this? Oh, today it's the fish. I don't like the fish. It's
Or
the
you
worst
just
fish.
go by whatever's the most expensive right there.
True.
Like
Biggest tip: we
just
don't
to
do
rack
that.
up
That's not
Right.
ethical.
Hey,
Right.
upselling is a big part of it. That's what
It
they
is.
say. And to your point, well, upselling, it can be a big part of it.
Don't
For
do
me,
that.
it is because like they always want me to upsell from like a top sirloin to like a filet mignon. And it's like another like $15.
Oh
and
yeah.
every time people are like, no, like
Yeah.
why would I?
Why would I get that? But it's
So-
just my manager used to be like, don't try to get them to stop on this. Like always keep asking them if they want more like desserts or if they want more appetizers or they want more drinks or they want a refill on something or if they want to try this and this and this. And she would just like, just make sure you rack that up. And I was like, okay. But then I would go and tell tables and they'd be like, what do you think about this? And I'd be like, you could get that, or for a lesser price, you could do this and this and this. And then they just end up tipping me better because I saved them some money.
Real.
You know?
No,
That's very true.
I'd give people like free stuff, like not all the time. Like if someone was like, hey, can I have like more bread? I'd like, cause like we have like a limit for bread.
Right.
Especially in to go, it's like you get this much bread for this many entrees, and then I'd be like, no, I'll give you as much bread as you want.
Yeah, just throw it in, like big corporations like that kind of stuff, they just have so much money that they're trying to make so much more. And sometimes like the workers, you just have to be like, you know what, like just take it. Like we like have too much of it. But it works.
But
It does work.
yeah, to your point of fake personality, that
Right.
is so true. I mean, like,
Right.
even if I'm in a bad mood and I'm stressed, you walk over there, put on a smile,
Mm-hmm.
and warm greeting.
Absolutely.
then-
I've found myself saying things that I would have never said normally whenever I'm like talking to customers. There's been a time when I walk up to a table and it'd be like, a couple old ladies, they're just chatting about something and I start chatting with them and I'm making jokes and I'm cracking jokes and I'm like, what am I even saying? But they're all laughing. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've said the thing that's like, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And they all would
Yeah.
wrap
Wait,
up.
repeat that.
No, literally, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, that kind of thing. I have said that before in a professional setting
That's
to a
ridiculous.
bunch of old ladies, and they have loved it. Like, they just eat it up.
To be fair, old women are my prime customer.
Those
I
are
do
the-
the
yeah.
best with old ladies.
I agree.
They love me. I don't know why women my age,
They don't.
don't.
Right?
I was joking, man.
What's your problem?
No, there's no
No,
problem.
you're right. But it is so easy to like joke with old people.
It
is.
just comes out of you. Like, it just like, like you get a little vibe of like what their vibe is and what they're talking about. And you riff off of that. And then all of a sudden you're best friends, but they don't know anything about you,
Yeah. Very true.
But the scariest for me is like middle-aged men, because I'm like, I have to gain your approval.
Yeah, they are pretty weird.
Terrifying. I've had like businessmen come in because I used to work at like the very fancy, very
Yes.
high end kind of restaurant, and they would come in to like they would reserve the giant space for their business meetings, and I've had to take like 14 guys' orders, and all of them are in suits, and all of them are talking about something super serious, and I'm in there like, like, do you guys want some fries or something? Like, it's scary, it's nervous, but then you just have to act like you know what you're doing, and then they just love you.
That's true. But I do feel like there is like a huge difference between like like the customers you'll have like the high end restaurants
Mhm.
versus like the rest the customers you'll have at like chain restaurants. You especially because you worked in like the city. and they were open pretty late. Like, what? Like, did you have any like really just like outlandish customers just come in? And you're like, why am I dealing with this?
No, for sure. Well, already Clifton is let's say an interesting place in terms of the citizens, but
The Cliftonites.
don't say it, dude.
I'm sorry.
It's ridiculous. What? But the location I worked at a restaurant or a fast food restaurant, it was right next to a bar, and we closed at 3 a.m.
Right.
So every drunk kid from the bar would stumble right into and make like sometimes unintelligible like. So that did suck, and there's nothing worse than being around drunk people when you're not drunk.
This is
I
true.
know.
It is
I
the
have
worst.
been
This is
on like like the street where all the bars are and everything. I've been there before after like some work day or something, and I'm going in trying to get food somewhere, and all it is just a bunch of drunk people all around me, and I look at the servers who are serving them, and I'm just like, I feel so bad. Like I know what you're feeling,
Call of Duty
dude. Like I'm
Zombies, dude.
so sorry, and then I try and be the best customer that I can. But I'm also on that note, do you think that working in restaurants has changed your view of going to restaurants and going to fast food and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Or just, being nice and humane to people in the service industry at all?
I've always held the belief that if you're rude to people in like the service industry, you're kind of
You can say
jerk.
asshole.
You can say
You're
asshole.
kind of an asshole
Kind of an asshole.
because like they're doing the best they can. They don't want to be there, and like people that you see the videos, people going to the drive-through freaking out about something. Like you're just like you're a dork. So
Yeah.
like
Nerd.
I've always been like very forgiving of that kind of thing. But now even as a server, it's like going out to restaurants. I'm even more like, dude, I feel bad. Like,
I always try and be like, I get you. You're so good. Like, no rush. Like, take so much time. Like, I could sit here for 2 hours and I would be so fine. Like, I'm always so over apologetic because I know how it is to just be so frustrated at people coming and going that like everyone feels the same. So I always try and be like, I'm a good one.
Yeah.
I'm the good one. You know?
I always be like, don't like no rush, dude.
Yeah,
like, I know you
for sure.
have 7 tables right now. You're fine. And I always try to tip well.
Oh, yeah.
And a big thing
That's
is
a big
also compliments. I love to give compliments because that goes so far for me when I get those at work. So, they tell a manager, they Google review, it goes to the owners. So I always try and give compliments because like if they did actually do a good job, people don't compliment enough.
Right?
So-
Yeah, exactly. Some people are just like, oh, they do a good job, but then they get a bad server, and they're like, shoot, like let me write a really bad review about this one server, but then it doesn't go for the opposite where it's like they have an exceptional experience, and they're just like, great, that was wonderful.
Right. I don't think people realize how far compliments go for like a server.
Especially for just like if it's in like a high tense situation where your bosses are all on you and you feel like you're just messing up. If even just one person is like, you're doing great, like this tastes wonderful, and like your service was so fast, you would just be like, thank you so much. Like,
like, dude,
I was
tell
needing
that.
that.
I would always say, like if I had a table that really really liked me and I knew no manager was going over there or whatever, every once in a while I'd be like, hey, Brendan, can you go check on this table and make sure they're doing good?
Oh,
or
yeah.
they had a good time. Just ask him how it was, and then he'll come back and be like, dude, they really liked you. He's
Yes.
like, I don't know why,
You'll
but
be like, oh my gosh, they did? I thought that they were
I'm like, that's
doing bad. Like,
that's wild, dude.
Yeah.
That is shocker.
Back to the customers. Like, did you have like any specific like encounters?
awful customer stories. Some that you're just like, if somebody's like, how's working at this place? You'll be like, dude, this one guy came in this one time. He just like threw everything everywhere. Like, I've had that before. So tell us about it.
I've had some jerks. A lot of the time it's like, well, that's the thing though about serving is you can't be mean back really.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
You kinda
it's
have
so
to-
frustrating.
You
like-
kind of just have to take it. So
Mhm.
like, and apologize even if you did nothing wrong. I had these people come in about a week or two ago, and they were cool at first, and then they ordered like the two things that takes the longest to make.
Oh.
So I told them, I was like, it's gonna be a minute on the
Right.
kitchen. So then they just complained to me, asked to see a manager. So manager went back there. They complained about me to the manager, saying that like I was taking too long or whatever, just associating it with the food. And then I went back over there, and I was like, I'm really sorry about the food, guys, whatever. And they were like, no, don't worry, you've been great. I want to be like, you're a liar.
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have
you're the
to-
worst. But you have to just take it, and then, of course, food comes out. They complain about it.
Right.
Took pictures of the food.
Oh.
hit me with what's your name again? And I was
Oh,
like, dude.
no.
bad.
I was like,
Oh,
dude. And then
That's when you just gotta tell them a fake name, like, oh, I'm actually
just tell them like
my
you're like
coworkers.
yeah, your least favorite
Like,
coworker.
yeah,
Just be like, yeah, no,
exactly,
I'm Tom or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever.
they ordered so much, and then we're like super upset that the bill was high too. They were like, all this money for for this experience, and I'd already taken off an appetizer for them because of
Yeah.
how bad they had been.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really can't do anything about that. And then they shook my hand when they left. I don't know if
Okay.
that was
They were thinking we're about to get this man fired.
right. I don't know if
It's
that
like,
was. I don't know if that
enjoy
was
your last day.
Yeah.
a parting gift, but I was like, I hope to see you guys again. And they were like,
No.
they were like, it's gonna be a while. And I was like,
Ooh.
all right.
This was the greatest thing ever. It was horrible. I was having like a really terrible shift, and this guy just comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I just took a massive shit
That's-
on the floor in the bathroom," and I'm like, "What?" And he's like,
Hello.
Dude, what was that, Dylan?
"This
What?
is true." Wait, oh, my bad. All right. Yeah,
He took a massive
Dylan.
poop.
massive, just big old poop in the. I'm being so real. This is true. They don't believe me. It's real. This guy, he literally just walked up to me and he's like, "Hey, I just took I took a dump on the floor in your bathroom." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "You know." And I'm like, "What?" He just walks out of the restaurant. And I'm like,
Dude.
I could check. I didn't
But
check.
No.
Not my job.
Because if I
thank
check,
you.
I'm like, well, I'm going to have to clean it up. So I just was like, I don't need to know.
Well, one big thing I've noticed, and I wanted to ask you guys
Mm-hmm.
about this because I'm sure you've had this experience,
Yeah.
is when you get someone in and they are a dick and they are really rude, but then you're able to turn it around.
Oh my gosh, yes, I have had that. Like somebody will come in and they're like, my last experience here was like so bad. Like this person did this and I like didn't get it in time. So I'm just like, like do this and this. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Let me do this. And then I would just like go above and beyond for them. And they'd be like, you're one of the good ones.
This is
Like
right.
you're so good. Like you're just, and I'd be like, thanks. Like, I'm just, it's just me. Like, da-da-da. I'm just working so hard. But it was just, like, normal service.
Yeah.
And they would leave just, being so much happier.
Right.
I don't have a specific time, though. Have you?
I've had a few. I remember one of my first tables. Well, I probably should have only asked Jack because I know that you've never given a customer a good experience.
This
Like,
is
just
true.
knowing you, it's
I
definitely not.
I'm known to be a terrible person in
Absolutely
service.
awful.
But
they're like this guy again. Like, are you sure there's no one else that
Like,
can?
that's what I say that when I see you, like outside
like you
of work.
again.
Dang, this guy again.
Right.
Well, just so you know, you weren't our first choice for the guest. I mean, we were like, shoot, they couldn't do it. Well, I mean, I guess
how much
we
am I getting paid to be here?
Well, realistically, if we paid you, then I mean, that would be a terrible investment for us.
Oh,
That's fair.
absolutely.
All right. Okay.
We're not giving you
Shout out to
But-
Will for coming on the show, though.
Yes,
we
thanks
love
so
you, Will.
much.
But
So-
yeah, I had a table, like one of my first few, and one of the girls, older woman, she was like, "Hey, what kind of beer do you guys have?" And then I have to go into my spiel about the drink of the
of
day,
course.
whatever. I was like, "Oh, we have some great draft beer options." I was like, "You can see it on there because we have like a beer of the month thing." I was like, "Our drink of the day is electric lemonade or whatever it was," and she cut me off. She was like, "That's not beer," and I was like, "Well, I know." I was like, "I'm just trying to get through my," and I was like, "You know what? I'll give you some time. Just let me know what beer you want." And then I walked away. And I was like, dude, this is going to be the worst shift of my life. And
So
then
scary.
I came back and, try to work my way in with some jokes, some, being
Right.
nice. And then eventually they ended up loving me. They gave me a compliment on Google.
That's so
and
good.
If you, it is hard to do because some people
It
are
is
just
very hard.
absolutely just jerks. And like they go in a bad mood and they're going to leave in a bad
They're
mood.
just stubborn the
right.
entire time. And they're like, actually, I hate this. I hate this. And you could be like, I'm going to comp your entire meal. And they'd be like, why aren't you giving me money?
Pretty much.
Like,
They're
like,
like,
why
you
aren't
have,
you paying me to be here? And
you have
I'd be
to
like,
give-
I'm so sorry. I don't know why.
you have to give me the tip pretty
Right.
much. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I feel like the main thing about restaurants that like all of my managers have told me, and working anywhere, it's always been, don't even like the restaurant is like the like secondary part of it. The main priority of every customer's experience, a restaurant experience, is to make the customer just love it there so much that they want to come back.
mhm.
Because it's like they could like rack up the like longest bill ever, but it's just like that's just more money in the pockets of the restaurant. But if they keep coming back, that's more and more and more money. So it's just you have to work
regulars.
and like yeah,
They're a
exactly.
thing.
Very
I
important
have
thing.
had
Mr.
so
Hollywood.
many regulars who I could just like they came in once and I was just like I gave them my spiel, I did all my jokes, and they were like, we're going to come back and request you when we come back. And then they come back, I do it again, and then they give me even more of a tip. And it's just the whole thing about restaurants is it's just the customer. That's why it's not called like the food making industry. It's called the service industry because you're serving someone and you're like putting on a show.
It's like the episode of The Bear when I'm sorry, it's a really good show. If anyone hasn't watched The Bear, it's so good.
It is very good at showing exactly how it is.
Well,
because
especially
it's very accurate.
Like the hecticness in the back
Real.
is pretty crazy. Because like
it actually gets
I'm not,
exactly.
I'm
like
not
that.
a line cook or anything, but when we get busy, it is like that in the back. Everyone is on edge.
Well, you have to
screaming.
like go past each other.
Right.
You gotta grab your
corner,
stuff.
back,
Yeah.
herd.
It's like, oh, you didn't shut this. Oh, I was going to, but I was still working on
Right.
it.
But I've had some regulars. I had people last night that came in, and I was walking past their table. I didn't even know they were there, and they were like, "Hey, Will," and I was like, "What's up, gang?" And they were like, "Hey, we've been here twice requesting you, but you haven't been working." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. I'm really sorry, but it's great to see you guys. Talk to them for a bit."
Yeah.
And then I had another table. They told me their name one time. These old people when they left, they said their name was Bob and Jan, and I was like, "Cool, got that locked in."
Right.
Another table told me their name, also old people. But I mixed it up.
Oh, no.
So I had the people come in and they were like, "Hey, Will, we asked for you. It's awesome to see you." And I was like, "Bob and Jan, right?" And they were like, "No."
No.
No.
Oh,
They were like,
well, it is hard because you see like thousands of people like just coming and going all of the time. So like regulars can come in and they can tell you the name and they can be the most personal people, but you just have so many people going that it's like they can get like, mad and they can be like, "Why don't you remember me? Like don't you know my usual?" And you're like, Who are you? Like
Right.
genuinely, like I've seen you twice. I don't know. Like
Right.
those kind of people are so frustrating.
Yeah.
it's a lot harder as well, I think, I think for me, I get a lot of bad customers, but I think, well, not a crazy amount, but I think also for waitresses, you get a lot of creeps. I've seen a lot of creeps, and luckily the benefit of looking like me is I don't have that problem, but I know a lot of servers where I'll even just be next to them and I'll, hear people say some weird stuff, or this one girl I was friends with, these old people, like these two older guys, they put the dish like at the end of the table away from her, and they asked her, they were like, "Yeah, but you'll have to reach down and get it." She was like, "What?" And didn't know what to say.
It's just awful sometimes too, because again, as we've been saying, you have to be polite and you have to be nice. But sometimes I just wish I could look at a customer and I could be like, get out of my face. Like, genuinely, you're the worst human I've ever met. Like, how can you treat somebody like this? But some people are just so awful where they're just like, I can do whatever I want because I'm paying you.
Yeah, right.
But the one thing that was nice about my restaurants that I worked at was that they were like, "Hey, always, try to do the most to the customer, but there's always limits, and
Right.
that's the big thing. There's always don't don't do things that you don't feel comfortable with."
Yeah. For sure. I've seen some weird people. I personally haven't had any weird people be a creep to me because.
Well, I haven't been there yet.
All right, dude. No, you actually. I already told every hostess your pictures on the wall.
Dude.
Do not serve this man.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, knowing you'd probably eat the whole restaurant.
Oh, okay.
All
We're
right,
going
and
there.
then,
We're going there.
you
No wonder you
make-
took a food job. You're
Yeah,
like, man, free food? Sign me up.
What did you?
I was about to say fat pig.
What?
Dude, you're fat.
That's kind of
dude.
mean, actually.
That is insane.
Dude.
I'm sorry.
I came in. He was trying to. I came in. He was trying to eat the desk.
Dude, I literally had to give you the big mic so you didn't eat all the way through.
That's ridiculous, dude. That's ridiculous.
No, I've had a few creeps. I mean, it's just like, being a girl working in the restaurants, there are going to be a few creeps. I mean, and not even just customers. Sometimes it's the line cooks.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the managers.
I've heard some wild stuff.
I've had some wild stories. I mean, it's not really been me because me working in restaurants has mainly been since I was 14. So I was the youngest one there. So they would be kind of creeps, and then I'd talk very loudly about my age to other people, and then they'd stop because it's
Right.
weird. And I just also if somebody would be nice to me or kind of creepy to me, kind of back then I would just be like, "Oh, they're so nice.
Right.
They just really like me. They're just giving me all these fries." But I feel like
I like how fries, fries was like, that'll do it.
Right,
I just
that'll do
they
it.
would just I'd be like, "Oh
That's
man,
all
I'm
it
so
takes.
hungry," and he would be talking to me, and he would be speaking in Spanish, and then I'd speak in Spanish to him, and he'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you do that too?" And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I do." But and he was my best friend, but he would
Right.
just give me food all the time, and I really loved him. But then at one point, one of my coworkers was like, "Why do you talk to that dude? He's kind of weird." And I'd be like, he's just so nice. He just gives me food and talks to me all the time and calls me beautiful. And he was like, and she was
That's
like,
ridiculous.
she was like,
Yeah.
like, get out of there. But a lot of my coworkers were older, so they'd kind of like take me under their wing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've had the opposite effect where people are like, how old are you? And I say I'm 20, and they're like, there's no way.
Oh.
Like, I know I look 14. I do. I know that, but
He's
they're
lying.
like,
He is 14.
No,
All right, man.
I started working when I was like 14, and they would pay me under the table. I was a tour guide then, but it was
really
like,
under the table? That's
yeah.
that's
Well,
the
it
best
was
way to
just
get
they
paid.
would pay me in
Tax-free.
cash, and I would be like, cash. Like I didn't think anything of it, but then when it was like tax time, he would be like, yeah, like don't put that on there, and I would be like, what? Like I don't know. I've worked at some sketchy places that have been like the like fanciest restaurant you've ever seen, but then in the background it's all sketchy.
Well, on that note, cash tips are literally peak. Like
They
it's
are the
literally
best
Wonderful.
thing on
I
God
don't have
because
to
you get a
tell
cash
anybody.
tip, just put it in your
Right.
pocket. Don't tell anybody.
And there's-
Then you don't have to share it. Then you don't have to give
Yeah.
the cooks, their tips or whatever. Which like
Wait, you don't you steal the tips from the
no, I
No,
don't
it's
steal it.
like
but-
charge tips on card.
Yeah,
They're-
some of it goes to the kitchen, some
Yeah.
of it goes to like the hostess,
Yeah.
for
Right.
the night, or the food runner or something.
That's
There's a
true.
bunch of different
Like
jobs.
I did like $120 on card last night because we got busy,
Mm-hmm.
but I only kept like 95 of it because they split it. But they say to put your cash tips in. Literally, no one does. Every single
one.
person
Just
was like,
I always
You
put
put,
like
like,
a little
$5.
bit in,
Yeah.
and then I'm just like, like most people just like tipped on card today, but I got some of these cash, and in my pocket just be like $30, $40.
You love tax.
yeah, they'll be like, I had yesterday.
And it's nothing against the restaurant because you're not taking the restaurant's money. The people
Right.
give you the money for you,
Right, and
And
they,
I'm like, because especially like when I was a tour guide, we didn't have to give tips to different people because it was not a restaurant. So I would just take the money and then I would just have more money because it's like I did the work, so they're giving it to me. But I mean, in some restaurants, it is kind of annoying if you're not like tipping back to the kitchen. Or
I
tipping back to the
think
host.
yeah, I think you should to an extent, but
Mhm.
at the same time, well, line cooks do a lot. Line cooks
Yes,
do a lot.
they do.
However,
Shout out to the line cooks.
Shout out all line
hosts
cooks.
do a lot of work, but
They
I've
do.
had like most of the hosts there. Pretty often they'll put like the weirdest thing. Like last night, I had 5 tables and one of them was a 10 top, and they were like, "Hey, can you take 4 at this table?" And I was like, "No." I was like,
Yeah,
"Look
just
at me,
in
I'm
this, yeah.
literally in the weeds."
Oh.
Roll
running
title
around.
sequence.
And sometimes, my section will be, these booths here, and then they'll be like, "Hey, can you take 4 at the table all the way across the?" And I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "They wanted to sit there," and I'm like,
Then give it to somebody
"Give it
else.
to. I'll
Like, I
take
don't
it."
know.
But
I worked as a host for like the majority of my time working in restaurants. Because I would like at some point in most restaurants I just became the server. So like I would like just be put as host sometimes when like a host would call out or something. And like hosts have it differently because they get paid a certain amount. But most servers, they just get paid, $2.14 an hour.
I make
plus tips.
$5.25 an hour plus tips, and if I don't
It's
make
always under
enough,
minimum wage.
if I don't make enough in tips, they have to match it
Yes,
with
exactly.
minimum wage.
That's
Which is
always what
kinda
they do,
nice.
but I don't understand.
It's
just
not nice.
Pay us a wage. Just pay us.
Well,
a
that's true.
normal
I
amount.
guess in every other country they don't do
Yeah,
that.
because in every other country, they're like, oh, like what's tipping? Like you guys should just get paid for
Right.
working. Oh, but no, you
But-
have to do a good job.
It's not worth it though because, never mind.
Okay.
I lost my
Alright.
train of
It's
thought.
not worth it
That's
because
okay.
I
it
lost my
actually
train
is
of
worth
thought.
it. It is so worth it.
It is very worth
I don't
it.
know.
I mean, at some places, working, above and beyond, trying to go, so well, do all this stuff, multitask. Sometimes that isn't worth it because it's just like it's just a job.
Right.
And especially like I've had that mindset, and I think that mindset is the only way to really get through restaurant working because I've had coworkers who have quit because they would just like, they'd be up at the hostess stand freaking out, getting so many calls, doing all this, and then they would just like have to walk away, take a deep breath, and I'd take over and I'd be like, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just a job. If I say something wrong, oh well, like it's
Right.
just a job. Like I'm being paid to do this. Like it's really not my stress, it's the manager's stress, And like it's just you have
Sorry,
Shout
I
out
didn't mean to cut
managers.
you
No,
off.
you're good. Go ahead, cut me off.
No, I was just gonna say, I felt that like I only get overwhelmed when I let myself get overwhelmed.
Mhm.
Like even if I have more tables than anybody,
Mhm.
if you like it's just a job.
If you just zone in and you're
Right.
like, you just like, put your phone away for real. Like
Yeah.
while you're working any job, put your phone away. Like when I was hostessing, it was kind of normal to just like sit up there and kind of be on your phone if nothing was happening, which is
You guys
fine.
angered me for that. I was all like,
Which-
you guys are playing not Farmville,
Well,
Heyday.
it's like, also like.
Heyday, dude.
Oh,
there's,
people
like-
at my restaurant played Heyday so much.
I mean, this is coming from the guy that still plays Papa's Pizzeria every
I
night.
love. See,
Not every
that's
night.
what I'm talking about. When you work at restaurants, just make it seem like you're
Game.
working in Papa's Pizzeria.
Pizzeria.
Like that's what
It's
I
so
do.
fun.
I lock in, I clock in, I put my number. As soon as I press start, I'm like, oh, restaurant simulator. Like let me go. Like beep beep beep. Help all these people. And I go about and I do that. And then when I'm done, I'm like, holy shit, 7 hours went by. Where have I been? And it's just you just have
Right.
to have that mindset. You
And
know.
I've talked to Aiden about this. What I meant to say earlier is it's definitely worth it, the job, because like the money's great.
Right.
But Aiden had said, what was that?
I was like a W, like W money. Just go, don't worry about it. We'll cut
All
it
right.
out.
But saying that like it's nice to get that minimum wage when you don't make enough money. The thing is, it's not though, because if I don't make enough money and they have to pay me enough in minimum wage, like they have to match minimum wage, I'm still making minimum wage for that shift. So
That's
it is
true.
still like it does suck.
Right.
Wait, so do you get only matched minimum wage?
Yeah. So if I don't make
That
enough,
sucks.
so I make $5.25 or something like that, and then if I don't make enough in tips to like, so like if I worked like a 4-hour shift and like let's say minimum wage is $40 and 4 times, yeah, so I get like
4
$20.
times, yeah.
Let's say I got $5 in tips. They will match it and pay me.
$35.
Yeah, like
yeah.
they have to
Okay.
they have to get to that level.
Have you never had that in your
No,
places?
see, okay, so again, you gotta remember, I didn't
Oh,
work on
right,
the
you
server.
haven't
I was a
worked-
busser and I was a to-go person, which to-go is nice because you get paid above minimum wage and you also
Tips are
get
yeah.
tips. So
Right.
it's kind of like it's a great gig. And honestly, it's less work than serving. Busting, on the other hand, they would match me above minimum wage. So it was still like the match. That's why, from my perspective, it was like, oh, matching, it's great. But especially because as a busser, you don't get nearly as much tips as you would serving.
Do you even get tips as a busser?
You get like you get like a portion of
Of the service
okay,
tips,
yeah,
'cause
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
It's like your
yeah,
tag team.
Right.
yeah.
I do get upset though when there are some really great hostesses. There's only hostesses at
Yeah.
my 5-star
That's
restaurant.
kind of how it ends up being. Like when I worked as a host, he only hired feminine people.
I'm
This
the
is true.
only other guy server at this restaurant, by the way.
Ah.
There are
Represent.
like 20
There's
girl
2?
servers. Yeah, me and this other guy who's also the GOAT.
Uh-huh.
But it's just so much more common for girls to be servers.
No, but it really is. It's just like it's kind of a sexist kind of thing because
Yeah.
you just
If you're pretty and like you
Uh-huh.
smile, people
Oh,
love
great.
Yeah, I had like one of my coworkers at one place. She was so gorgeous, like she would always do her hair in like pigtails or like a ponytail, and she would get so many tips because it's just sexist,
Right.
and it's just men who are like, take all my money,
I think it's ridiculous. But I have a lot of friends there now that are servers that are girls, and they're like, because I have to put a lot of effort in to get good tips
Yeah.
because again, I'm a guy, so it's not as easy.
I think girls
So-
also have to put in.
Oh, no, no,
effort,
no, no. I
though.
mean-
okay.
Is it-
Yeah,
it's
no,
a
no, no,
different-
no, no, no.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it like
okay,
that, but I
continue.
have
Women
to-
don't have to do anything.
I have
Women
to
Yeah,
just
go
what
over
the
there.
hell? They just have to be pretty.
That's
you know,
not
like,
what I
fuck
meant.
around.
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
Men are so
I have to go
Gross.
over there and do like a comedy routine to get these people to like me. I do make a lot more mistakes than everybody. Everybody there is a better server. They've been doing it for so long. So I have to put in all this effort just to get these people to not complain about me because like that's the nail in the coffin if they
Right.
do.
I hate to cut this off. I
We
think
have been
Sorry.
yapping.
we
Sorry.
are yeah.
That is a main thing
Um,
that we do here.
We are hitting the end of this episode, but before we do go, we have some final questions we're going to ask you in
Okay.
the
a
lightning round.
Light-
Okay.
So, yeah.
What
So-
are we gonna do? 2 minutes lightning round.
Yes.
Answer as fast as you can.
Yes.
Okay.
If you get more than half right, and there are 10 questions, you
Oh,
will,
this is trivia.
Yeah.
It's like okay.
Yeah.
All right.
you will get a prize.
I don't know.
Maybe
much.
this is about food. Maybe it's not.
We
maybe,
will see.
You will not know the answers. Maybe you will. So
All right.
I won't.
let's get started.
On your mark,
Get set.
go.
All right. What is carbonara sauce made out of?
What was that?
Carbonara sauce.
Carbonara sauce.
Carbon.
Go.
Wrong.
Go. Wrong.
What
I
is
know
a
it's wrong.
what is a cucumber? A vegetable or a fruit?
Doesn't have seeds, so it's a vegetable.
Wrong. It is a
Wrong.
fruit.
All right, who was the 17th president of the United States?
Ulysses S. Grant?
Wrong.
Wrong. Andrew Johnson.
Go,
What is
go,
the
go.
capital of Switzerland?
I have no idea.
Wrong.
What is salt on the periodic table?
NaCl.
A.
Correct. Which of these fruits is a naturally occurring phenomenon? Banana, orange, watermelons, or strawberries?
Watermelons.
Wrong.
It's strawberries.
They're not real.
What does
What
that
is
mean?
Aiden's favorite animal?
Is it a land animal?
Wrong.
Regular.
10 seconds.
What was the year Talking Tom was created? 2015, 2013, 2016, or 2012?
2013.
Oh my god,
That was actually
you're
really
right.
That's correct. That was insane.
All right,
All right.
you had like 1 second to
All right,
spare.
everyone, give it a round of applause for Will answering these questions.
Thank you guys.
Those
Thank
are
you.
some good
It was tough.
questions.
They were some great questions.
And for
So that is
you
all
lost.
the
You
time.
definitely lost that
I
one.
think that he won in our hearts.
In our hearts.
He won. He lost in the game, but he won our hearts
Thank you.
All right. Well,
for sure.
Thank you.
So that's all the time we have for today's episode.
yes. Huge shout out to Bearcast Media, our BTV director,
And
Mio's Pizza for making this episode happen. And
Speaking of Mio's, actually, we are so excited, but on March 21st,
we will be doing a live
episode
podcast
in Mio's.
in Mio's.
So if you just go to Mio's and you're eating some pizza, you'll hear us off of the speakers or something. We'll be just talking to some guests there, talking to some people. It'll be super exciting. We'll remind you guys again when it is coming up. But anyways, that is it for
it'll
today's
be
episode of In the Weeds.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
Oh.
And shout out to Will for
Shout
coming
out,
on this
Will.
episode.
Thanks, guys.
You're a great guest,
So-
and
so
we love
waiting
having
for
you.
the
Our
paycheck.
next guest will be a surprise, but they'll be great.
All right. That'll be all.